piace così frontale? Better? Va meglio? Sta bene. A lei. Sorry, sorry. Please don't stand in front of the camera. Non so come farli passare dietro però.
So, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody in the room here at La Fontana in the beautiful city of Barcelona. And very welcome of you who are joining us in the live stream. This is the IYTT. The IYTT is the International Youth Think Tank. And we have been running our 5th anniversary conference in Barcelona. My name is Urban Strandberg, and I'm the co-founder and director of the IYTT. By the end of this event, you will meet another co-founder, and that is Cecilia Malmström, our presenter further on. So, you may wonder what the IYTT is about. It is about bringing about change. The world is full of problems, not least from democratic engagement point of view. So the IYTT is doing something about it by proposing different ways of renewing democracy of the world. And that is what we have been doing here. 23 brilliant young minds have been working hard for 4 days, and they will soon present a list of proposals for making the world a better place to be. And I just want to say also that we are so happy to be in Barcelona for a specific reason, because the city of Barcelona is the first city awarded to be the European Capital of Democracy, which is a new event in which cities in Europe are competing with one another to be awarded this prestigious thing. And we are particularly happy to contribute to Barcelona's program year of being a capital of democracy. Anyway, this is the welcoming. Now you will follow, there will follow a presentation. After that, you will have some comments of a panel, and we will wrap this up around 2 o'clock by delivering the report in the hands of the commissioner of the city of Barcelona. 4 youth fellows will do the presentation in order of appearance: Vivek, Sarah, Dominic, Jessica, and Tamila. So, sharpen your ears, open your minds, and be ready to see how we should change the world to a better place. Thank you.
Welcome everyone to the 5th edition of the International Youth Conference, a path for democracy from engagement to impact. Ever increasingly, citizens are excluded from democratic policymaking, with their needs not being met, their voices not being heard, and their impact not being felt. And this, in democracies across the globe, has led to an alarming surge in discontent and disengagement. Through our innovative proposals from foundations, youth, technology, community engagement, and the workplace, we aim to make a change. Together, we will embark on the path for democracy. Each and every proposal calls for citizen engagement to create a tangible impact. Sarah will now start us off with our 12 proposals to enhance democracy.
Thank you. Now, let's start with the first proposal to supervise elections in regard to human rights. We want a new committee, namely a supervising procedure, added to the already existing 4 entities within the Human Rights Council of the United Nations. It will be triggered by any national election taking place around the world, and its task is to monitor always with the question in mind, does the content of this electoral campaign align with the international law of human rights? The results of the supervision are going to be made public through a report, and grave, manifest violations of the international law of human rights are to be flagged by the committee. From there on, it is up to the respective country to decide on any potential measures, and it is up to the international community to decide what to make of this information. The committee itself does not issue any binding measures. Now, looking at a community level, we propose a second policy. We want experts by experience and experts by education to work in partnership with decision makers, policy writers, and members of councils everywhere. An expert by experience is somebody that has gained expertise through lived experience, whereas an expert by education has been taught their expertise. This model can be transferred to all situations where decisions are being made in order to allow this expertise out of the community to be heard. There will be a job role posted looking for an expert in the respective field. Following up, a random jury from the field as well is going to be selected in order to vote for which of these applicants is to represent the community. Finally, this applicant will receive a full-time job role and is from then on responsible for community engagement, engaging in debates, sharing their voice, writing policies, everything, just not voting in parliament. But to ensure transparency and accountability by the community, the decision makers themselves have to always respond to the question raised by these experts. Because the decisions that affect a community, all decisions have to be made in partnership with the community. And finally, to tackle the underrepresentation of youth in politics, we propose a youth quota in parliament. Now, this can be done through reserved seats or through a quota in party lists. And this proposal itself is inspired by already existing quotas, for example, in Kenya, or by gender quotas as they exist in many countries around the world. With this proposal, we aim to boost voter turnout, specifically amongst the youth, so we can better tackle issues that concern the youth, such as raising living costs, unaffordable housing, or unpaid internships. If we include youth perspective by quotas, I think we can lead towards a more forward-thinking and sustainable policy making. But I think before getting in, like the youth into parliaments, we have to make sure they get involved in politics in a very early age. So, Dominic?
Thank you. Let's tackle a real issue. Not enough young people are interested in politics because they simply have no connection with it. Our solution, junior elections. It's simple. Kids below the voting age can go with their parents on election day and vote exactly like in the real election. They get the real experience from an invitation to go to the voting booth with educational material. They put their ballot in a separate box. Their votes are not included in the real election. This does two things. It makes voting a habit from a young age, and it gets them asking questions about democracy now, not just when they turn 18. That's learning by doing. The result, we're going to see more of these kids voting as they grow up. Children will be the ones motivating their parents to go vote with them. That's how we build a future with a stronger voter turnout and a generation that really gets democracy. Speaking of which, the next proposal is about lowering the voting age and educating young voters. The proposal is based on the fact that voting age also comes years after driving, criminal responsibility, and working age. Voting age also comes after taxation age, meaning that youth work and pay taxes but are not entitled to vote. The proposal includes mandatory government system education starting from primary school onwards to guide the young voters and ensure that they have the proper knowledge to make informed choices when voting. For our next proposal, we have to keep in mind that youth are struggling to access job opportunities. The public sector is lacking youth experiences and competences. We therefore propose to integrate open positions within public institutions, reserved for individuals aged 18 to 30. The proposal aims at having 5 to 10% youth representation in public sector departments. To make this come true, it must include fair pay and employment agreements. We are confident that this proposal would bring innovation in the public sector departments. It would also offer valuable experience to young people and help them prepare for the job market.
Speaking of youth, they are one of the pillars of a well-functioning democratic society. The Dear Mayor program aims to implement a supplementary educational workshop program in schools that focuses on teaching the pupils how to write official letters to the political and administrative bodies. We invite experts trained to work with kids to inspire and empower the youngest population. The children and the young people learn how to channel complaints, concerns and suggestions using various means, including digital technology, to responsible bodies and be part of a well-functioning democratic society from early on. The idea can be implemented at either level, be it local, subnational, or national, starting from a single countryside school and ending with implementing it as a part of a wider curriculum. A tool that can be used in these workshops is the Citizen Mayor website, which reconnects citizens to the policymakers. The interactive platform will provide a way of learning about politics through practical participation. The Mayor's Mailbox function will be the heart of the website, where citizens can post informal requests of change they want to see in their community. AI functions will provide them with the knowledge background about general democratic processes, their rights, and the competencies of the governments on the different levels. At the same time, AI will make it easier for the parties, governments, and administrations to access citizens' requests and create the wanted change in their communities. The website helps to restore the trust in the democratic process through active participation and learning. As democratic tools are moving to a digital space, we propose a content recommendation regulation. Today, social media is the most used information source for young people, yet the content is barely regulated. The algorithms are based on personalization and therefore create polarization and echo chambers. This proposal suggests enforcing a law that regulates the amount of non-personalized content users are being shown on the social media apps. The aim is to broaden the horizon of the users as well as promote critical thinking. For example, this will be done by regulating at least 5% of your recommended content on social media apps that should not be based on your personalized preferences.
In reference to the regulation proposal, we propose to involve citizens in the democratic process by introducing the Democracy Live policy tracking app. The app will send out polls to citizens periodically, which will be fast-tracked in the working agenda of the relevant governing bodies. The policy tracker then provides live updates on the progress of the policies, similarly to how one would receive notification from, say, a food delivery. This app would enforce accountability for governing bodies by making policy-making transparent, ensuring that the citizens' needs are prioritized. The app will streamline citizen engagement and enhance the effectiveness of democracy. With the proposal of a public sector co-creation space, we aim to bridge the gap between public sector employees and society. This will foster a sense of citizenship among bureaucrats and promote a dialogue with the citizens. A third party, such as an NGO, organizes the co-creation space similar to a hackathon. It will foster collaboration among the participants in a condensed time frame. Participants will be asked to solve a burning issue with the most effective and creative solution implemented in the end. The proposal of a co-creation space will incentivize bureaucrats to feel more connected to the public and recognize the impact of their role in democracy. By proposing democratic world cafes for companies, we conclude this presentation by shifting the attention to someone who is very often overlooked when we talk about democracy, the public sector. We are not imposing political opinions on the private sector, yet offering an informal initiative for private sector employees. The democratic world cafes are organized as collaborative group discussions. The participants engage in rounds of rotating small-round conversation with public sector or NGO representatives, and the discussion will be focused on specific social and political issues.
Advertised as a team-building activity for companies, the Democratic World Cafes encourage meaningful dialogue within the private sector. Democracy is about everyone, and the private sector will not be overlooked.
Our holistic proposals will be incorporated into the International Youth Think Tank Democracy Handbook to empower individuals, mobilize communities, and nurture democratic governance. Crucially, we aim to catalyze change in policy at the local, national, and global level. We thank you for joining us in our journey on the path to democracy and hope that you leave today with a renewed worldview, a genuine curiosity, and a drive to make a change in your own communities. Thank you so very much for listening. And now we gladly open the floor to discussion.
Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. So the next phase of this event is that I'm inviting 4 panelists and 4 of the presenters on stage. So we will have 2 of the panelists actually in the room and 2 others on the screen. So why don't you, Anna and Adria, get on stage, and why don't you 4 of you also get on stage, and I will join you in a bit. So we will have this next phase of the event. The panelists will first give a 5 minutes reflection around what they have been listening to, and then there will be responses from the presenters, and then we will open up the floor. And all of the 4 panelists have had a chance yesterday or in this morning to skim through the slides. So a little bit of preparation, but not that much. So bear with them with the tough task of coming up with comments. And I will present all of them now so that you have an overview, and they will then talk in the order of appearance that I mentioned them now. So on screen you have Cecilia Malmström. She is the IYTT co-founder. She's a non-resident senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics, and she is a member of the IYTT reference group. Welcome to this event, Cecilia. Then we have Anna Taroncosi, who is the director of the International and Iberico-American Foundation for Administration and Public Policies, among other things. And Anna is also a member of the IYTT reference group and a resident of Barcelona, but she has not the possibility of being here today. Anna, you are so very welcome to this day's event. Then we have another Anna sitting just beside me. And Anna is a manager of exploration and enabling labs within the mobility industry, coming all the way from Gothenburg, Sweden to contribute here today. Welcome, Anna. And then we have Adria Ballester, who is the founder and street volunteer in Barcelona. He has founded the Free Conversations movement, which has for 7 years now giving the opportunity to people to speak out. And he will speak out here within a bit. And Adria, we're so happy that you are here today. So this leaves us commenting today's presentation. Cecilia, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much. Buenas tardes, Barcelona. It's great to hear you. I'm so unhappy I can't be with you in person, but it was really refreshing to listen to you. And waking up today with more gloomy news about populists winning in different countries and the world really in a miserable state. We do need new, fresh ideas on how to revitalize democracy. And I think your approach on trying to foster a new democratic climate that really takes into consideration young people on all levels is really inspiring. So let me just say that to start with, and then I cannot comment on all the 12 proposals, obviously, but I like the way that you try to engage young people from the beginning via training, via mock elections, and then putting them into the election booth themselves And then also making sure that on all levels there are youth represented so that they have role models and so that young people's voices are heard in different levels. The idea on voting, lowering the voting rights for people to 16 at the age of 16 is of course something that has been debated for a long time. I think Austria and Malta has it already in the European Union. They have a level of 16, and in Greece it's 17. And for the European Parliament elections next June, also Germany and Belgium will lower its age to 16. So this will give us a fantastic opportunity to see how this works and how to engage with young people. As it is so rare, there's very little evaluation and research. One has been looking at Austria to see the trends there and actually found out that those between 16 and 18 actually voted to a higher degree than those in the next cohort from 18 to 20, which is something to think about, whether it is actually fostering people from that low age or whether we need broader engagement for young people. But of course, you have solutions to that as well via your democratic training, via the mock elections, and so on, and via to set out quotas or different kind of carrots to put young people in parliament as well. I was looking at the figure, and the last figure I saw that in Europe, only 5% of elected parliamentarians are actually under 30. I was elected to the European Parliament, I was 31, so I did not qualify for that. And if you look worldwide, it's actually 2.5 or something. So it's something really to be done that. Of course, not all young people have the same preferences and articulation, but there are some voices and some items that could certainly be voiced by younger people. I was thinking a little bit also about your junior elections as a sort of mock elections, going with the parents to see how it is actually done in the booth where you cast your vote, and wonder if you were thinking about linking that, because they will have no practical outcome. You will just present the result, but it will have no practical outcome on the actual elections. But if you could link that to the sort of engagement where you wanted to engage the citizens in the letter to the mayor, for instance, or in the citizens' mailbox, and if that could be a joint educational package for young people on how to engage with their communities. These were a few thoughts that I had, but I really liked your approach. Also, of course, with all the elections coming up here and the Human Rights Council having a bigger role on that, that would be very welcome, I think. But of course, you have some of the least democratic states in the world who are actually members of the Human Rights Council, such as Eritrea, Afghanistan, and Russia. I think Russia was recently thrown out, but still. So that could indeed create a problem. But giving them the peer review from the highest level is a good way to try to reinforce the responsibility of these countries sitting there. So thank you for your efforts. I know you worked really hard these days, and it was very refreshing to read it. And as you said at the end, it gives hope for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cecilia, for these valuable comments. So now, Anna, we are so curious to hear what you have to say. Welcome, the floor is all yours. Anna, could you please unmute yourself, because we're waiting to hear you. Now, could you please see if we hear you?
Okay, could you hear me before?
Wonderful, thank you. So, welcome, Anna. Now we are looking forward to hear what you have to say about this presentation.
Thank you so much. I was just saying that I'm really, really sorry not to be in Barcelona, which is indeed my city. and the place I really love in the world. And it's not because I cannot come here today, but because I'm working in Madrid. And maybe as a case to study democracy, I must say that Madrid nowadays is a meet quite interesting, to say the least, handover, which is affecting all levels of administration, politically and not politically, and that's where I am. I am amidst this crazy handover, so I could not travel earlier to Barcelona this week as I would like to do. As you see, I have my luggage here, and I will try to leave tonight, but it's too late for this event. Cecilia, I was also elected as member of the European Parliament at the age of 31, so I do not apply for that. But I was remembering while listening to you that I was really engaged in politics very, very, very early as the age of 15. And when I think about the reason for that, I do always understand that I did it because of the Spanish momentum. We were running out a dictatorship and jumping into a democracy. And probably if it was not that, because of that very momentum, I would do different things than politics. The momentum is important because, as Cecilia said, probably nowadays there is less evidence that we are in a very momentum, but I do think that we are. And how do we are in a very, very momentum? Miserable situation in the world, difficulties to be part of the decision making, as you said, and many, and in a moment in which decisions about about how democracy works, how the political deliberation is built, and how will it's really something that will affect in a very short term how are we going to live in the next many years. For those reasons, I was really appealed by what you are proposing on political engagement of young people. Being member of a parliament, being elected, being present, it's something very important. I don't deny that. But all these proposals you do in the everyday for improve engaging in the everyday are for me very interesting. I want to underline three of them. First of all, the dear mayor. My first political engagement was local, and it was in a very in a very complicated district in Barcelona, in the city center, which was terrible at that time. And that allowed me to learn not only about politics, but also about people and human conditions. Dear Mayor is a very, very good starting point to be engaged in something which is which means a lot in civic and democratic education, being engaged in your own community decision making. And I think that that should be a strong line in which we can work in the future. Second one is the idea of young people being taxed and being part of the adult world without any decision, as that also appealed to me. Right of vote at the age of 16. I think it's worth to try, but I think that should go along with other proposals you do in terms of how to better engage young people in this civic education or civic engagement. it is difficult to say that young people have priorities. I would think that what young people have as something that identify all of them, it's long time in front of them. So they should be more interested in shaping the future because they have more time than us to live in such a future. So I would not talk on young people priorities, but on the need to really be engaged. And I will underline some of your proposals, but especially I would like to underline the idea of how do you feel democracy is important and the possibility to convey to your colleagues of your generation the reasons for that. I think that you are proposing a number of tools. I cannot jump in all of them, but I would add to that how to pass this message through your everyday life in your everyday activities. Looking forward to talk more in depth about that. Thank you. I do not want to steal your 5 minutes time from your 5 minutes, and I'm happy to stay here to listen to you. Thank you very much. And Urban, my news is that.
Thank you so much, Anna, for being with us and sharing your thoughts. And I hope that you could stay along a bit so that you can follow the continued discussion. So now,
sure.
The next Anna, it's your turn to do a little bit of reflections.
Okay, thank you so much, Urban. Yeah, I feel like the days of hope are here finally. I'm so grateful for being invited here, and I've had the opportunity to hang with you guys yesterday too and see how you kind of evaluated and did a lot of retakes on your ideas and towards this path for democracy. I love the title, and I mean, I know that you are going to make impact in the world, and we just don't know where you will start. So I love the many ways you're planning to engage young citizens around the world, I hope, starting here in Europe, but I think you will take a lot of more steps. And especially I like this co-creation between different sectors, and usually I say that you should start small, and you will probably, but then don't hesitate to scale up. I like all of the ideas, and I mean, we heard the other talkers talk about the quotes for young in parliament. I think that is a very wise idea, as we see so much elderly population in the world right now, and it might be a little bit heavy on that part. So we need to fill it up, and we also have a big gap between knowledge when it comes to, for example, technology in the world now, where you as a younger generation knows way much more than we older know and understand. So we need to kind of get, if we want to keep up, we need that. Also, I love the junior elections. First, I thought it was like in schools, but then when you like developed it, it was more like for like the same as the parents. I grew up having junior elections in my school in Sweden, and that was very positive when the school did have those elections, and we got to know where our school was politically, and we of course compared with our parents and so on, and that is very engaging. Not that I became a politician, I became an engineer instead. So I know how it is to be young and woman and be a little bit alone, because I've been working with almost only men in my life, except now in my innovation lab where we're 50-50. And that's only gender. We are also very cross, like cultural. And I like how you discuss about the Dear Major program, because I think that goes hand in hand with this junior elections also, how to boost, because you're not only boosting the the kids here, you're boosting the families, because it's a lot of people out there that don't vote because they don't care, because they don't understand the political system. I don't really understand the political system too, to be honest, because I think it's so complex. I know that I can find everything if I look for it, but it's a little bit too many clicks these days. And something that is close to my heart is the content recommendations regulation, as I care a lot about well-being and mental health, and I think you're onto something really important there. I know you struggle a bit with how and where to start, since this is a huge area, and my question here needs to be around who to team up with, because you can't do this alone, even if we need the passionate people that starts this. But what roles in public and industrial sector would you start reaching out for? I asked you yesterday, if I hire you and we start on Monday, what would be your first step? Because you got to start somewhere. And well, I would for sure come to your Democratic World Cafe, and I would also hope that it's not only like a single company event, but it's like cross-sectorial. Bring the civic, bring public, bring academia, bring industry, and kids, and you know, all ages and cultural background. I would like to see that happen, and I know that you guys can do it. Sorry. And well, and I also think about that democracy that tend to mean different things in different regions, and the context vary, the cultural context vary, and so on. And I'm just like thinking about, have you thought about how your different proposals could roll out and be broadly applied in different parts of cities or countries? And is it only Europe you're thinking about, or like where is this heading, and how? Because you also see the struggle, I know that. Yeah. So and of course, since I come from the corporate world, I would like to hear, like, where would you start? And you've been discussing a lot about the public sectors, but where would you start in the corporate world? What would be your tactics there to kind of reach out and make them help you to maybe communicate in a broader way, or like, what would you like to have help with there? And also when it comes to citizens, what citizens would you reach out for? Who would you focus? Who would you not focus, maybe? And does it matter who you focus? And does it improve their everyday life? And we're all part of the society. So yeah, I have a lot of questions, but thank you so much. It's very inspiring.
Well, I would like to start by thanking everyone for organizing this. I know it takes a lot of time, efforts, well, it takes a lot of connections also. So I would like to thank Urban for that and his team. So secondly, well, when Urban contacted me some months ago, there was like this nice email, and I thought, well, he mentioned there were more than 500 and more, almost like 600 people, right? Like they were applying to come here today. And I thought, wow, that's a lot, you know, I mean. And then only 24 were selected. And since I came here, I think I first met you all like a few days ago. I have no wonder why you are the ones who are selected. I think there's a lot of talent here. There's a lot of people who have a lot of willpower to change stuff. So I'm very happy to be here because I also get inspired by you. I've been listening also many of your ideas. As a normal human being, I have my preferences, right? There's some of them I like them more, some of them I don't like them that much, or I don't connect that much with. I just hope that I hear that there are many ideas that have big inspirations, and as Anna said, I hope you don't lose the focus on benefiting the regular people's lives, right? You know, every time I think about doing some activism on the street or taking action on politics, I always think about my neighbor. Her name is Rosa. She is like 56 years old. I say how she will benefit from that, right? Or my friend brother, or my teacher, I don't know. So I hope you don't really lose that focus. Well, I hope when we will be asking questions, I hope you don't find them harsh. because I think the reality will be even harsher. I'm not trying to be, I mean, I don't want to be pessimist, but I just want to show you the reality. But I also think that the reality is harsh, but I think here there are many people who have great potential to become great activists who can achieve stuff at least, you know. So I took a lot of notes, I know. Well, I found when I hear about your ideas, I also find it very interesting how nowadays technology is very involved in politics. Back, I remember my grandfather, he told me that back in the 60s, he once stole a bus, and he kidnapped the bus driver, right? Because, I mean, he's dead already, I can say that. I mean, it's okay, he won't go to prison. Anyway, so because he thought there was something going on that it wasn't fair in the city, and back then not everybody had a car, right? So him and his friend, they stole the car and just, well, the bus, and they just went there. I listen to many young people because of my job, that they want to change stuff, and they want to, always they are very willing to do things or to have ideas related with technology. But what I like the most about the ideas that I've been hearing for a couple of days is that even though some of them involves technology, which I don't think is bad, but what I like the most is that most of them, they are connected with values like humanity, creativity, and consciousness. I also hope you don't forget that revolution always should be fun, you know. There are hard times, but at least I hope you have fun. And last but not least, I hope you have critical thinking. You will find many, many people with a goodwill that they want to achieve the same as you, or they want to work together with you. I hope you don't have the need to fit into a group. Like if you have your own thinking, just follow what you think is correct. Even if you have the same goal. I mean, it's good you try to team up, but don't forget that you all have your very individual personalities. And also, when I was saying about the values thing, I was thinking also about you, Dominic. You are from Ecuador, right? If I'm not wrong, Ecuador has now a president, it's Guillermo Lasso. No? It was Guillermo Lasso, it's not correct? Oh my God. But if I'm not wrong, the current president of Ecuador is somebody who were focusing a lot on economics. I got this information like last year. I don't know if there was any change, but and then the criminology rate increased, and I heard on the news that, well, you know, the news. But I've heard that the young people were being underrepresented, you know, so that's I was thinking about that yesterday. So there's not much left, I have to say, just that I hope from this conference you get contacts, you make friends, you connect with people, and you take actions that you will remember in 10 years from now. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Adria, and all the panelists. So I want to give you the chance now to one brief thing each that you have come to think about when listening to the panelists. So Jessica, you could start.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for the appreciation of our projects. We really worked hard the last 4 days, and we did notice that our projects all really well go together, and especially the junior elections and all the education programs we designed really just implement them all at the same time, and we probably will have a good society then, very democratic one. And in the end, it was only 4 days, so especially with more difficult topics like the human rights issues or our content regulation guideline, there just needs a way more research than 4 days can provide us. And that's what I love about the report handbook. It's like an inspiration source that everyone can take out from and just continue our great ideas. So thank you for the comments.
Thank you for passing me the mic. And I also wanted to thank you all for being here, listening to our proposals. We honestly worked so hard to be able to kind of come up with something like this. And I think what was the most important part about this whole endeavor, so to say, is that we got this feeling of agency, I think, all of us, by trying to cooperate, by discussing, by sometimes even in a positive manner arguing over different tiny details of those proposals. I think it made us feel like we are really capable of doing something, and we are really capable of making that very impact. And referring to one of the questions, one of the Anna's questions on private sector, I wanted to tell you that our very last proposal was actually this very first step, of trying to bring this private sector closer to the society, because during our discussions in our small group, we also realized that private sector is very often, so to say, underrepresented and excluded from the rest of the societal political issues, and we decided, okay, what if we try to invite some public sector representative, NGOs, and so on, and just make them talk. We don't want them to do anything specific yet. We just want to try to raise this awareness and to raise the consciousness. And we think that that is a very first important step, in this direction to something bigger and more democratic, probably. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your insights. I think it's really valuable to hear them all. And when I was thinking about your question, how can we apply to every one of our countries, is that when we were talking in our groups, we were discussing how is this applied to your country? And we were thinking, okay, we don't have enough education to go to vote, but for example, in Ecuador, it's already lowered the voting age. So we were saying, okay, what are we lacking in our own countries? So I think that's the procedure here. We can throw these ideas and see how the countries can apply to themselves. And maybe that's the beginning. And yeah, thank you so much again for your insights.
I think conferences like this really show you something about this whole idealism thing that you were mentioning. And I think what we learn is that it is important to keep this idealism, and I feel like that's really important to keep it, like, I don't know, in your heart, in your mind. But tying our self-worth to the complete implementation of all these proposals would probably be very harmful because it's not incredibly realistic. But I think what we can always take away is that we can, with every step we take and every activity we engage in, we can try to work towards this ideal. Because I guess in the end, if we lived in the perfect world, that would maybe be boring and also impossible, and all of this process wouldn't even be needed. So, of course, the world is harsh and questions can be mean, but as long as we stay true to those principles that I feel like we all sort of agreed on, even though we are from everywhere around the globe, and we try to keep in mind what we are doing the realistic things for, I think then we can stay, true to ourselves and also content while trying to, engage in some activism. Yeah, but I think it's important to think about it.
So thank you, dear presenters and the panelists once again. We have time for one question from the floor before we go to the last thing of this event. So is someone wanting to say something? Yes, we have someone. Please state your name and why you're here.
Hello, my name is Javier Estudillo. I am professor of Pompeu Fabra University, and I was invited by Urban to come here. And I think your ideas are very interesting, but I would like to know, how are you going to spread this idea? What are you going to do with them? Because, there are many books that you can find in the bookshops about how to improve democracy. So my question is, now, what is the next step?
So the next step, as Vivek was saying, he was concluding the presentation, the proposals goes into the handbook for innovative democracy that we are spreading to decision makers, both local decision makers and national decision makers. Another way we are doing this is that we are trying to set up partnership with cities, like Barcelona, get to know cities, both civil servants and politicians, so that they would trust us when we come with good proposals. So that is another way we are trying to really change the world by our proposals. And yet one more thing is that we don't only sit and work many hours in a conference venue like this and issue proposals, we also take to the streets. So Tuesday evening, late evening, after a full day of work, we went out to the city of Barcelona and talked with people, passers-by, asked them for a 5-minute conversation on democracy to inspire themselves to be active citizens. So that is also a way to make change come true. So we try to inspire not only powerful people, but also the people themselves. So this is how we are trying to make these proposals set things going. And thank you so much for having that question to us, because, well, by the end of the day, nice proposals are nice proposals, but change is change. So thank you for that. So, now, it's my privilege to welcome the Commissioner for International Relations and City Promotion for the city of Barcelona, Pau Solania, sorry for the pronunciation, who has been graciously enough to come here and listen to the presentation. And you will come up to me and you will receive the report in your hands from Vivek, and then you will do a few minutes reflection. What is the takeaways from you? What could the city of Barcelona take with to learn from what we are proposing? So a warm welcoming, Pau.
Por su atención durante nuestra presentación en democracia. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Comisario. Thank you very much, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. I endorse with pleasure and passion, and you will understand why with passion. I will share with you now some ideas. So congratulations for the work you have done. Thank you for choosing Barcelona, and we hope that you have had a good job and a good experience also in Barcelona, because as has been said also, revolution has to be fun, and Barcelona has to be also fun. Thank you so much. Well, thank you very much for the invitation, and I say you hello, those who are here, and also Cecilia Marstrom and Ana Terron. And Cecilia does not remember, but I've been for a few years at the European Parliament working there, so I've been following her. And also Ana Terron is more than a friend, so is a very close person to me for even though we are young, when we were still even younger than we are today. So I would like to share with you 5 comments, because you don't know, only Anna remembers, but I've been a youth activist with some responsibilities. I've been, among other things, I was the president of the European Youth Forum between '98 and the year 2000. So I had the possibility or the responsibility to be a youth activist in front of the European institutions. And after listening to you, I have 2 feelings. First, I'm very happy because of the proposals are very interesting. And the other one, I'm wondering if this is enough to change, to make the revolution, and have been said. So the proposals are very good, and we can endorse immediately. But we need a youth leadership. And leadership is about changing the rules, changing the status quo of the things. And on there, I feel that you are very shy, too modest. You have to have the courage to remove the boundaries, to move the boundaries, to go beyond the red lines that they are on the table. And then my 5 comments, after thanking you for the work. Let me take my glasses, because I'm 53. I'm not any more young like you are. I think that you need to understand the rules of democracy. And you understand. But democracy is about the power of influence. The power of influence. You are not in the institutions, but you have to play the power of influence. You need to understand where the decisions are taken and who influence in the decision makers. And this is a complex game. So it's a kind of, you need to deploy a kind of democratic radicalism. And democratic radicalism is not about being radical. It's about understanding how decisions are made, and where to push, how to exploit all the powers that you have as youth. The second comment is about you have to be the best or good storytellers. You need a story to tell that people can pay attention, that interest to the people. These proposals are very good, but you need something catchy, something that people, we are in the attention economy. People need to, the attention is very low. It's 5-7 seconds to catch up the audiences. Let me explain a small history about our times. When Ana Terron and Cecilia and myself, we were youth activists. 35 years ago, Erasmus did not exist. The Youth Directorate in the European Commission did not exist. There was a good friend of Anna called Luciano Becchi. It was an Italian MEP that was also elected around 28, 29, that wrote the first, or it was the rapporteur of the first report towards a youth policy in Europe. It was the first time the European Parliament adopted that report. And after that, we managed to create a task force for youth. And then appear Erasmus, Comet, Tempus, programs that don't exist anymore. Erasmus, yes. But what I mean by that we needed more than a report. We needed a storytelling. And what we did at the time, we were telling to the MEPs and the European Commission, how do you treat youth in Europe? Cows, the farmers, the cows get 20 euros per cow in Europe, while youth, we get €1. So 20 euros for a cow, €1 for youth. This is unacceptable. It was a little bit a way to shake minds, showing the contradictions that Europe have. So today you need a storytelling. You need a powerful story to pay attention. The third comment is about this creativity, audacity, to have impact. You need to have impact. So you need to find ways to have impact, and you have creativity enough to think about it. The fourth comment is about you have said from local to global world. Our concept of democracy is not a universal concept of democracy. There is a tendency of Eurocentrism. You are from Ecuador, and you know. So the concepts of democracy are much more the concepts than European democracy. And today, the European values are in contest. So there is a contest to the European value, a contestation to the European value. So we have to find a way to explain our concept of democracy in a way that the others also endorse, and to building up the concept of democracy together in a co-creation that has been said, co-creation of the democratic model with some other people around the world. We cannot impose our model of democracy. Attention, because this is very easy. It's a very easy temptation to think that our values are the European way of democracy is the superior way of democracy. Attention, because the world is moving in another direction. And my fifth and last comment, talking about the power of influence. Absolutely agree. It needs to be young people in parliament. But more important than that is to cartography who are the possible allies. So Ana Terron, Cecilia Mastro, myself, many people around Europe has been youth activists. We are not young anymore. But we are ready to fight for you. I'm 53. I'm ready to fight with you. So cartography all these people. Connect these people. Use these people. Play the power of influence. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your lovely words, and just to echo your spirit. I used to say to youth fellows that you should stay radical but be polite. That's the way. Just talk to power by being radical but polite. We are hearing you when you're speaking about Eurocentrism. The next IYTT Youth Conference will run in South Africa in August next year. And we will do that because we want to learn, we Europeans as a European organization, we want to learn from Africa. And we will do that by engaging African youth in the processes that we have up till now been running in the IYTT. We are teaming up with an amazing youth think tank in Zimbabwe. They are basically doing what we are doing, and we will run the conference in South Africa and learn very much from that and develop democracy from a global point of view. So thank you for underlining that. So thank you, all of you, the participants of the conference working so really hard, the panelists, Pau, and all the audience here in the room and in the live stream. Keep your eyes open. There will be, the report that we handed over graciously to Pau is soon up on the website. There will be conference proceedings within just a few weeks, and more reports will follow. So keep an eye open for the IYTT if you want to stay in tune with the activist spirit of the young persons of the IYTT. So thank you for today.